Good morning. I'm Dr. Bill White again. I'm a general dentist that has done nothing but orthodontics since 1970. I do a lot of TMJ work with the orthodontics. I just consider that part of orthodontics. That's the more complicated part of it. Now, I'm a member of the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm board certified in that. And if you're a general dentist or pedodontist or any kind of dentist, even orthodontist, you're welcome to join the American Orthodontic Society. And I tell you, if you pass the boards in the American Orthodontic Society, you can darn sure do orthodontics. So I encourage you to join for a lot more reasons than that. But this morning I'm going to spend a good bit of time now, not specifically talking about this Big Daddy Plus that we used on this lady, but I have seven or eight other factors, some of which are much more important than the Big Daddy arch. And if you're really interested in orthodontics, you're going to have to study this video. So some of these things will be the first time you've ever heard about some of them. Now, I hope that you will take this and really study uh, this thing. It's got a lot in this case. The lady that we are going to work on here worked for me for quite a while. She's a very sharp lady, but we had a lot of orthodontic problems. She later moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and worked with a pedodontist there. And I don't know who the pedodontist was right now, but I can find out. Uh, and we're going to have to really explain these things in detail to get people to understand some of them. And this may be the most important video that I've attempted so far. So I hope you will look into it and study it. And I appreciate you doing that, but this is not a quickie thing. So if you just here for a quick look, you can look around and go, but you're not going to get it. In fact, you're going to have to be a pretty darn sharp guy with orthodontics to catch all the stuff that we're going to talk about here. Now, this is a nice looking young lady. I say that young, she's 32 years old. And if you just look at the face, you can see right off. I mean, we've got way too much vertical dimension of the face. And for her to close her mouth together, she has to stretch her lips out, and it looks bad. But if she, if you are this way and you have too much vertical height in this part of the face, it ought to be about equal, here, then you can smile all the time. And that's the way Carol Burnett, before she had her orthodontic surgery, had to do. She was too protrusive and had too much vertical dimension of the face here. Now, this lady is a very nice looking lady, and I'll show her smiling here. I think in a minute. I don't remember exactly how these things came up, but I want to just show you some of the problems that she had. She's extremely crowded down here in the lower anterior teeth, and she's got the bite is too deep, and we've got some crowding in the upper teeth. They're kind of cupped in on the sides right here, you see, and that goes to that vacuum forming that we talk about, or caved in bicuspids and stuff. You can uh, study that video. Sorry for that interference. I'll just have to cut that out of the video. Phone took off. So let's get back in here. Okay, we've got two. She forms a vacuum at night, and that causes these cheeks to kind of suck in on the sides like that. That's not a big deal to deal with. Now the crowding, and but there's another thing that's important about this case. She's got a temporal mandibular joint problem. Now this was brought about, I think, by having a crossbite. The way the teeth meet, it throws the jaw, and I'll cover that a little bit better when we get to her models. Let's go now to the next one. You see, she's in a crossbite over here on the left side of the mouth. It's just a crossbite right here. And this is caused, it's a real subtle thing that caused this, but I know the whole history of her life. She was a mouth breather, has been a mouth breather ever since she can remember. In fact, she told me just the other day, I found out that she sucked her thumb also when she was growing up, so she didn't swallow just right. And if you are really in on this stuff, by swallowing improperly, you don't bite your teeth together when you swallow. And so you swallow somewhere around 2,000 times a day, and a normal swallowing person will bite together with various force, but it'll be a pound or more of pressure. If you just swallow properly with an adult swallow pattern, you'll press your teeth together. You can't hardly swallow without biting your teeth together. So your teeth take a constant pressure all day and night during your life. And that determines how far the teeth come into the mouth, and that's what makes your vertical height of the lower third of the face like it normally is. Now, if you swallow improperly and you do not bite together when you swallow, and that's what somebody with a thumb in their mouth, or if they're tongue thrusting, they do not bite when they swallow. Now, an infant is supposed to not bite when they swallow. The good Lord took care of Mama that way, or took care of the baby. I was in Africa. I worked over there for about 3 years, and when a baby was born and had the teeth, they in certain areas, certain primitive areas, they took the child off and just left it out in the jungle and didn't try to raise it because they couldn't nurse him. They nursed for several years, usually around 3 years, for the child to nurse to get enough protein and everything. So anyway, Eva did not swallow properly for a certain length of time during her life, and so her bicuspids and molars and cuspids to some extent erupted into the mouth further. And if you erupt these teeth back in here, say 2 or 3 millimeters back here, it's kind of like a hinge. It may be 4 or 5 or 6 millimeters out here in the front. And that increases this distance between the bottom of the chin and the nose up here. And you take a beautiful person and add about a half or 3/4 an inch extra height to the front part of the face down here below the nose, and you look what it does to them. It really makes it bad. It makes this hinges back and make them look like they don't have enough chin. Their chin's not long enough. Whereas if their chin was up where it normally should be, it would be long enough. So this gets really complicated. So she sucked her thumb, and she was a mouth breather, has been a mouth breather all her life. And so here she is working in the dental office, and she sees all these problems. Now, there's another thing that makes this crossbite. I'm going to mention that to you here in a minute, too, that I never really understood until just recently what really caused that to happen. Okay, let's go on to the other side of the mouth. Uh, well, let's see the upper arch, you see, is kind of caved in here, where this did not get the tongue pressure, so these teeth are in, and the bottom teeth did get the tongue pressure. Now, the reason they got the tongue pressure, she was breathing through her mouth. There's no way you can breathe through your mouth and keep your tongue up. Your tongue has to go down, the air goes over your tongue, and then when you swallow, your tongue just stays on the bottom all the time while you're breathing like that. Now, I know that because I'm a mouth breather too, and my lower molars are wider than they should be, and that makes you bite your cheek out here when you get the molars coming together even out here, or just coming a little bit more. So biting the cheek is caused by mouth breathing, and I'm a mouth breather, and I've tried everything under the sun. I've not had any success. I've got a bunch of allergies and things like that, but it doesn't kill you, so I'm still going. But you can see this upper arch should be wider, and the whole thing really ought to be spread out more, you see. Now she has a TMJ problem. That really throws another kink into this whole operation. And there's so many dentists do not know how to take a TMJ case. You got to treat the joint problem first and find out where the jaw needs to be comfortable. Then you have to move the teeth to where they fit together, where the jaw is in a comfortable position. And there's a lot of dentists and a lot of, I think, orthodontists really don't know how to deal with these TMJ cases, so they just try to ignore it and go on. But that is not the best thing to do. So we're going to try in these videos to show you how to take somebody that has had the jaw positioned where it needs to be in a splint, and then you come out of the splint and go into orthodontics. Now that's more complicated orthodontics than beginners want to get into. Uh, okay, we're trying to cover a lot, maybe too much in this video, so it's going to take some time and some study on this. So now the upper arch is not as wide as it should be because the tongue wasn't pushed up in there by a proper swallow for years. So you swallow improperly for 2,000 times a day, man, that's 24 hours. And you take a lot of pressure on these teeth and they stop coming in early, and you have a normal, what we think of as a normal facial height here, and that is screwed up by improper swallowing, and you can see without a question of a doubt. You don't have to have a cephalometric or anything else to see what's going on here in this case. Let's just look at this facial stuff. This is too much. Now, I don't know, depending on how much a person does that. You take a person who's a chronic mouth breather that cannot ever close their teeth good, their jaw opens up so wide. There's a case on record, the kid just has the mouth wide open. It's a hideous looking thing. But this messes up the beauty of this face. Now, something happened in this case. We did not take any teeth out, but we corrected the TMJ problem. We pulled the jaw where it should be, we corrected the function and we got this lady breathing through her nose and keeping her mouth shut and biting, not keeping her mouth closed, uh, and biting together, and her vertical dimension in about 15 or 20 years reduced. Now, this is something you probably have not heard. I've not read anything about being able to correct function early on will help lower a vertical dimension after it's already out there. Usually it takes surgery where they have to go in and shorten the maxilla or shorten the fix the jaw where it's shorter. It's a complicated mess. I've got some cases where we had to do some extensive surgery to get the vertical height of the face down. All right, she's got too much vertical height. If you're out there looking at this video and you have too much, you can just smile. If you remember, Carol Burnett smiled all the time. If she closed her mouth, she just didn't look good. All right, back on the arch here, where it's too narrow because the tongue wasn't in it. Now, the tongue spread out the back part of the lower arch and pushed it into the crossbite, but it didn't get up in this area, so these teeth really are too narrow. In other words, if you tongue thrust, your tongue goes over the top of them, and these teeth are not where they should be. And we're going to go in and widen these teeth out here. And this is another thing that they said, and Dr. Little, I think up in Washington, did a lot of research on this. He's a fine guy. I just really like him a lot. I don't know whether he's still up there or not, but he had all this research, and he said that if you widen these cuspids out, to line these teeth up, they would all be back in 10 years, and they would just come back over there. And that is not correct, because we've got a case, you look in there for spreading cuspids out. We took some cuspids and spread them twice of what they were, and they were not back in 10 years, and they didn't go back in 20 years, and I've got the slides on them, and I've got numerous cases that we have spread the cuspids out, and they have never come back like they said they would. And the secret of it is put the roots behind the crowns, have them tipped this way. Now those students that were spreading these cuspids out, they didn't have time to do that. And the cuspid would be over here, they would just tip it over, and so the roots, actually if you push the crown this way, the root will come back the other direction, and after a certain length of time, these cuspids try to get back over their roots, and so he said every one of them will return to that. And maybe treated by these students in the dental school, they didn't have time to really put those roots where they should go. And if you expand the cuspids and make sure they've got tips, the root is distal to the crown, and you won't have any trouble. I said to myself, God didn't make that cuspid with some special position in the mouth and it was going to go there. It's just another tooth. It may have more receptors, but it's going to act like other teeth in the mouth. It'll move around when the pressure is exerted on it. Okay, now we had a situation here where we had a beautiful class 1 relation on the right side of the mouth. Now this is another factor here. This you couldn't improve on too much. Now, I don't think you can improve on it and get it to stay like that. That is a darn good class 1 relation with all the 6 keys and all the goody things in here. This cuspid going right down the bicuspid. Every one of them. If your treated cases all come out this good, you're pretty darn good, I'll tell you. But the right side of her mouth is a perfect class 1. Now, let's look at the other side of the mouth. Now, this is the one where the tongue spread out and the lower teeth got out past the upper teeth, and so we've got this crossbite in here, and a lot of this crossbite is kind of a combination of that sucking in or the cave into the bicuspids, but the tongue is staying in the lower arch a lot more than it should, and the tongue has a definite effect on the teeth. Just the tongue lying down in there will cause these teeth to go out. It also causes the other side. Now, when they get out here where they hit point to point, a lot of times the person will shift their jaw and close out there. And this is a big factor with people, asymmetry in the facial structure. You look at people, their doggone chin will be off to one side or the other. On many people, even these reporters and things on television, just look at all of them. Nearly every one of them, or a big percentage of them, have their chin will be to one side or the other. And this has a lot to do with it. They shift their jaw when their teeth get spread out on the bottom. They're hitting cusp to cusp. Now this, when they shift the jaw, that has an effect on the temporomandibular joint. It can't help but have some effect. Now this effect could or could not be so great that it caused the joint pain and everything. And over a period of time, the joint will adapt to that position. But it is a factor in the TMJ problem. So she has a TMJ problem. And we checked her out and we put her in a splint, and she is class 2 or nearly, well, this 6-year molar ought to be out here somewhere, you know. So she is class 2 on the left side and a perfect class 1 on the right side. And she has a TMJ problem. And we checked the jaw out where we needed to go to get the jaw comfortable, and it was advancing the mandible. All right, so we ended up with not a class 2 over here and a class 1 on the other side to deal with the orthodontic problem she's got, but now this class 2 side, she brought it out. Let me erase this. She brought it out here where this class 2 became a class 1, and it was fine over here with our TMD. But now the class 1 side is a class 3. It's a class 3. So we're dealing with a class 3, class 1, and now we're going to have to wear a lot of class 3 elastics over here to try to bring the other side back some, and she never did wear enough of them. We got it corrected pretty good, and we treated this case now in 11 months. And she was out of these things, but I wanted to stay in there at least a couple of months more and pull on that side and get it really far back. But she got out of it. They're in the office. They talk you into her. They just go ahead and so she got out before we were really ready and had a little relapse on this thing at the end. But she has done beautifully well over the years. Now let's go on and look at this. Now, to correct this maxilla, which was too narrow, way too narrow, we put in a palatal separator, and she's 32 years old. Now, I went and talked to Donald Timms. He's the guy that wrote the blooming book on palatal separation from England. And I said, how late can you expand palates? And he said, oh, about 17 or 18, and you can't do anything after that. And I was up in New York or somewhere. He was one of the AAO annual meetings, and I just turned around and didn't talk with him anymore. There were other people there because I'd already separated people in their 30s, and we have separated people in their 40s, their low 40s. When you get up above that, it really gets tough, and you can't separate them, but you can expand them. And I've had the bone kind of stretch out in here where we expanded. I've got some x-rays showing that. I need to publish that too, that you can stretch the palate, and I can expand any body. I mean, in their 70s and 80s, you can expand the maxilla and bring it out here, and you can put torque in the teeth, and the palate has to stretch out some, or it drops down some to give you that. So we we actually put her in a splint first. I don't have any pictures of her in the splint, and we wore that for a few months, and we knew we had the jaw where it needed to be, and so I tried to set the teeth up where the jaw was. And that's a complicated procedure, coming out of the splint, going back into braces, and you have to cut the splint down into 3 pieces, and I'll have to do a lot of videos on that to show you. I don't have time to really get into that right now, but we had her teeth out there where the jaw out there where we did, and we had to put the teeth together and keep her jaw in that same position. All right, so we started to separate this, and if you take a skull and look down, the greatest amount of bone structure in the palate up here is right between the upper front teeth, right in this area. So we were pushing back in here on between the bicuspids and the molar right here, and you're trying to get the biggest amount of pressure where you need that. Pressure is out here probably more than back here, and you just can't get the pressure out here unless you put some force out here. So several years, many years back, I decided to put a sliding arch up in the front part of the mouth on brackets, and you'd put the arch in there, and then you close it down on the end, but give it some space, and the arch will slip around in here. And then we put spring, packed open coil spring in that as much as you can get. So you've got a tremendous amount of force right up in this part of the palate, working on it at the same time you've got force back here. And so we start in with people, and we have literally separated the palate on people into their 40s. Now some of them will and some of them won't. Now you don't go in there with any of these little pussyfoot things holding onto the teeth. We ban every one of these teeth in a video to ban this one, but we just usually through the tail it would come out on this one. And that goes apart now, the pressure goes apart here. This one will separate right up here. As soon as this thing separates, and in covering this to start with, the first one of these I ever did, I put a pretty powerful spring on a young man who was giving me some worrying the heck out of me. I was putting that on, he was wanting to take it off and everything, and it was hurting, it was bothering him. But I put a dead spring in there that was really, put a real force. You go back and look at the video on palatal separator where we first figured out we had to do that. And he went off in about 4 or 5 hours. He was with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend looked at him and said, "Hey, your front teeth are apart." He didn't even know it. And I could have stuck a wooden match between them. He said they went apart and he didn't even feel it. Now, after the teeth go apart, in other words, there's no strain on them, the palatal separation is easy. It doesn't bother people. But until it comes apart, it has a strain in there. And so this part between here. Once it separated these centrals, he was fine. He was looking in the window, and he went up and looked. He was downtown shopping with his girlfriend. Went up and looked in the window, and looked at his TV. He said, "I can stick a match." And he came in that evening. I'm glad he came in, and I was there. And he took that spring off of there. Maybe the teeth had been spread out like cowboys' legs or something. But anyway, so she's got a palatal separation, and we separated it when she was in her 30s. She was 32 years old. She said in a week and a half or 2 weeks, when we started that, we started cranking that, and it went apart. She said I could breathe. I could breathe freely. My airway was opened up, and it had been closed since she was a kid. So we opened the airway up, gave her a place where she could breathe through the nose, and the function became good. And you'll have to look at the kind of pictures of her face. And that lowered the vertical dimension of her face. It can't help but have done that over a long period of time, and I've never seen that published either. So there's several things in this video that have never been published that I know of. All right. Now, we wanted to expand this part of the mouth out here. So we put a big daddy archer in there, special one, but you really don't have to use that. But we'll go through it here in a minute. And here it is. Now this is what I call a big daddy plus. That's just from the name is kind of crazy. But it works, but it's not totally necessary. You can just put a regular lower Big Daddy and just have it out away from these teeth, and then you can put a lot of force. You put your braces on the teeth, and then you tie this part of it and have it together back here, but have space out in this area and pull it to that. Now this arm that we show here will only pull it out till it hits the base anyway, so you have to have the base out in front of the Big Daddy. You can't see it too good there. You'll have to look down. Now this wing right here will be out there, so you put it in there and you tie that to your arch wire, and it'll bring those teeth out to this base and bump the base, and then that's about as far as it goes. And you can make it where it expands the back teeth also, you know, how you activate the wire. Now, a lot of you guys just don't know how to bend wire. You need to learn how to bend the wire, and you can do any darn thing that I know of. You can just move the teeth, you can move the roots, you can tip them, you can intrude them, and you can extrude them. You can move a whole jaw like this out, as I showed earlier in the video, without pulling the teeth through the bone. I mean, if you expand this arch, and we do it all the time on thousands of cases. I mean, we've done that. I had a man who was doing something, pushing up there with his tongue, expanded his upper teeth. They were sticking out over his lower teeth. It didn't shove his blooming teeth out of the bone. It pushed the bone, teeth, and all out. Kids sucking their thumbs, anybody. The bone moves with the teeth unless you just hold these two teeth down and pull this tooth way out, and you can pull it out of the bone. You can pull it through the bone, you see. If you'd have to put a lot of torque on, because the root would stay in if you just pull it out here. So this is ridiculous, but people believe that and teach it. That if these teeth are back over here and you want them out there, you got to cut them off and bring it out surgically. Or as they did that ridiculous thing, they took the teeth out and then spread the bone a little bit, put some freeze dried, I guess, and then put implants that were in an angle, or maybe they built crowns that were in an angle, and tremendous expense and tremendous work, and all it had to do is just get about $1 or $2 for a big daddy wire, and it would have done it, and a few elastics in there. So anyway, here's the palate. We separated it, you see, not that much, but it, the thing together probably moved it out to 3 or 4 millimeters. We separated the palate, and we got our upper arch fitting over the lower arch, you see. And the teeth now lined up real good in here. It was taking a lot of time here. We've been in about 36 minutes, and we've got people looking at these things just want to be able to learn this in 5 minutes, and you're not going to learn it in 5 minutes. You're going to have to study this stuff. There's so many things going on here. You could dwell on this for weeks and not really learn it all or get it all down until you do some of it. So you got to do some of it to really get it down in your mind and be able to do it. Now once you do it and you see what it does, then it's yours. In other words, you know it. Otherwise, you won't. Now we can put this in, you see, and you activate this. Go up here, don't tie it to that, but you tie it to the teeth, and the teeth are in a pretty stable arch wire, and it pulls them out to this wire. It only goes out here. So you got to have this wire out in front of your teeth, and however much you want to bring them out. So really, you could just tie this wire to your teeth and just go ahead and run this back here like a regular lower Big Daddy arch wire. You could tie it back like that if you wanted to. But this was something we just sat down and designed it and figured out what we'd have to do. And you can make this fit against the molar where it won't be pulling any back here. It'll do all the pulling out here, or you can run this out past the molar, pull it back, and it'll be pulling on the molar some, the bias in here, and the cuspids up in this area. So you can just move these teeth any way you want to, and you don't need a whole lot of stuff inside here that you have to buy and play, and it's a mess putting it in and all that stuff, and they'll show you some wonderful things because they're selling the thing to you. This is virtually free. That wire for that cost about, I don't know, one time I could get a whole stick of, say, 040 or 036 or so stainless steel wire, round stainless steel. It cost about $1 a stick. I mean, it was cheap. It may be a lot higher now, but it's just still no cheap compared with what they did on this one. All right, there's just a loop, and I could press those together, and when you get these together, you can see where this is. Now, if I press this together and it moves this in some, it'll have some pressure pushing in on that while it's pulling out on this, you see. You got to figure out what, when you do something, it has a whole bunch of effects, and you just get to where you know what that's going to do when you do something else to it. Now you can have this where it's away from the molar. When you push this in, it just comes up to the molar, and then all of your force will be right up in this area. And this is just tied on up here to keep it from going up and down. So there's no big deal about it. You got to sit down and think about it. You know, just to do these things. Here it is in the mouth, tied in. Now this lady had this really crowded lower anterior teeth. She had some periodontal problems too. Excuse me. That doesn't sound too good. Now the palate separated fine, and it went out, and that worked out real good. and she could breathe, and that made a lot of difference in the long-term treatment of this case. Now here are the teeth on the bottom, and we spread that thing out, and we get the cuspids spread out, and then we close that by just leaning them over into this space, you see. And that leaves the roots distal to the crown, and it becomes a stable thing when you do that. There's just so much to learn, and you do not learn it in a few days or a few months. It takes a few years, really. And people in orthodontic school, even though they will be there 2, sometimes 3 years, you don't have time to treat. Some of these cases take years and years to really finish the treatment. It's good if you can get in and go to the regular orthodontic school, but you can come to the American Orthodontic Society. Now you have to take courses, but you'll have to take a lot of courses, but we got some good teachers, and we teach you orthodontics, and you have to go home and use it and get study clubs. We're trying to come up with a lot of study clubs all over the country and in different countries where you help one another and you kind of get together like that. Now we spread those things out, and they were crowded. In fact, there they are right there, see? And these, the points of the cuspids where they measured it from, somewhere like that, you know. And then we'll go in and spread those cuspids. The points of them will be out like that, you see. I mean, the distance they went is quite a bit. Now, according to Dr. Little, those will all go back in there. And he's a wonderful man, and I don't want to disqualify or bother him at all. He's a good guy, and he's doing what he thought was right. But what these boys were doing, in the boys or young ladies too, in the orthodontic school up there, they were in a big hurry, so they just spread the crowns out, and actually the roots go the other direction when you push the crown here. Now you take this off and put them over here. Those things will try to get over their roots, and so they all, he said, every one of them would go back where they were. And I know he was frustrated. He put this information out, and everybody swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. And they were teaching people that all over the country, and they were extracting a lot of front teeth out here so they wouldn't have to widen these cuspids out. And the cases look, I'm sure that I could pick holes in all their cases, you see. But you can widen the cuspids. All right, there are the cuspids, and there's it is. We put that arch wire in there just to hold it out, and we went through the rest of the treatment. And I've got to get around here and get out of this in a minute. Here's another trick you can use on adults if you want to. You can drop the brackets down on these lower anterior and way down, and then you just come back up as long as you've got the teeth lined up here. That's all that counts, you know. So we have to, you can hide the brackets on adults down here. So we've finished her up above, and we've got her in a wraparound retainer, nothing across the occlusal surface of the teeth. Everything is pulled in like that. And so now we have, this was the class 3 side. We wore class 3 elastics, which pulled forward on this and back on this, and we got this to going pretty good. But we only took 11 months to do this. And now, so it didn't get back really good as I would like for it to. I'd like these roots of this cuspid being further back in here. Now this was see how these roots are back kind of this way. Now, this is 1989, and we started in 88, and we're out of there. Not that I wanted to with these kids. Back then I had an army of young ladies in there, and one guy in the lab, and we trained one or two, maybe three people be training all the time, because other people doing orthodontics would steal my assistants away and things. But I had a lot of them that stayed with me for years and years, and one of them, Patricia Smith, is still working there in the office, Dr. Whirley's, and she will go out, and she made most she could make any appliance we used here. And if you want her to come show your staff or come, you can contact her, and she's working in Dr. Whirley's office. A very sharp young lady, and she started working for me when she was 16, and she's 60 now, and she worked with me all her life, but she knows these methods that we use backwards and forward. So anyway, the other side is fitting down there good. It hasn't really functioned in here like I want it to right there. Now it looks like something's in there, but I don't have anything crossing over the occlusion on the retainers. Now she really wears the retainer. You can see the track of it in here. And if you make them kind of like a horseshoe, that 036 side, you got to come in here and kind of overlap those back here so that it doesn't, so the retainer can break at a point like that. It's quite narrow right there, and it can break pretty easy. So and you don't need any clasp on it. You can put little bits of composite under the arch wire, and you can fix them where you can, or take them out of the mouth if you want to, but you don't need to. Now the girls said we had just got some of this beautiful colored acrylic, and so they had to make their own retainer, and they made one out of that, and she's got a bite plate and everything on it. It's made out of that mess. I was glad when that went out. Now at this point we were sitting there edge to edge, but this is going to relapse, or it's going to go back some, and these teeth are going to settle in. I'm not sure she's even got her teeth together fully and got her jaw out where it needs to be in that picture there, but apparently it's pretty close. But these teeth aren't together. I think she will slide forward just a little bit, because she definitely doesn't stay like that. Now this side is that way too. This is 1989. Now we started in 88. Went through this whole thing in 11 months. Now there are the upper teeth lined up like that. She's really wearing this. We bonded a 3-to-3 on the bottom, really solid. This is a heavy one, and it's really bonded because I did not want these teeth to crowd up again or to move. And I've got some pictures of her just about 3 years ago, and they're still there. And she worked in this she did a lot of the orthodontics for this pedodontic. This lady in Atlanta who is a pedodontist. I don't know who she is. I'm going to find out, and I hope she's in our AOS. I don't know. We're trying to get more pedodontists working in there, but there's the lower arch, you see, now. And that's, she's biting down on this bite plate, so she'll close a little bit further. And I'm going to show her a little later on. She closes down quite a bit. And there we're in another retainer with a bite plate. And this is, she really wears it though. You got to take them out and brush your gums and leave them out an hour or 2 or 3, and put them right back in. and really wear them. Now here she is where she's got too much vertical, but if she kind of parts her lips, she looks really good. But if she closes them, she won't look too good. Now this is before we advanced her mandible. She looked like this, you see. So we advanced her mandible to get rid of the TMJ problem and the facial structure, the jaws out like this. Now this looks good. Now you wouldn't think she's got any problem at all. I don't know whether I've got this closed. Yeah, this looks good here. And you wouldn't think this is too much at all when they're smiling. But when they're not smiling, then it doesn't look that good. Now here's the way it ended up. This is 1990, 10 to 90. So this is a year later, and it's settled down in here. This is out. If she bites all the way, those teeth come together. It may go up a little bit further back in here. And we're getting a little relapse. She got out of it too quick. So this side is coming back toward class 3, you see. And this is moving up here. And I just wish she had worn this thing a little bit longer. Now these teeth had some periodontal problems with them, and so she goes to Atlanta and is working in this office, and they put a graft down here on her gum tissue. You'll see in a little bit. But she is breathing through her nose. She is functioning normal. And I want to show you what that did to the face. And there's several things here that we've covered that are, we use that spring on these teeth up here. And we put a sliding arch wire in these, and put this tremendous spring here on the palatal separator. So that's the way you separate palates, but don't put some little pussyfoot thing up against them or band the button picking teeth. I mean, you got to have a real good hold. And as your palatal separator goes apart, that'll put force in the teeth of being leaning like this. But if you hold it there, we keep them in there about maybe 7 or 8 months, and the teeth, then the roots go out like this, you see. And that widens the airway, and that's the secret of it. And you can't go in there surgically and cut the darn bone and just move the teeth out, or you've got to get the roots of the teeth out. That's the secret of it. The palate needs to be separated and the roots brought buccally, and that gives you a greater airway, and she could breathe better almost immediately with that. Now here's that side. Oh, that was the filling over here I saw a while ago. This is lapped over that good, and it's staying. She's wearing this retainer up above, and the lower arch is expanded probably to match this now. This coming in. Now we put another retainer, see, with a bite plate where her teeth are coming in right here. And I think that's the one she's still wearing, these retainers. And they keep that from coming back. In other words, when we advanced her mandible, her TMJ problem went away too. Okay, here's the upper arch, and this is 1992. That's 4 years, or about 3 years after the treatment. Everything's fine. 90. The bonding material staying down, and that's staying in place. Looks like one of them may have broken, so you can take it off and put a new one over there without molesting the rest of it. Now this is 88. This is where it was class 1 on one side, class 2 on the other, and we advanced the mandible. And then you had a class 1 where it was class 2, and the class 1 side was class 3, and here is the palatal separator that we put in, and we had the palatal separator going on at the same time. We had that super big daddy expanding these teeth. You see the spaces in between the lower anterior teeth, and this is in 1989. Let's see, and we started in 88. That's our second Panorex right there. Now, here is 1989, and we've got the palatal separator out. You see where it's cut off down here on these deals, but it's separated out good. Now, she had some periodontal problem when we started, and these teeth were shaky as all get out, but she keeps up with that real good. And this is she's age. I can't see this. Anyway, she was 32 when we separated her palate, so she's got to be, well, it'll be 33, or it says 32 there. She's still 32. All right, here it is, 1989, and the class 2 and the class 3 side, they're resolved, but she's got a little relapse. Now she's got some periodontal pockets, and she has one problem: she smokes, and that's not good for the periodontal, but she takes care of her teeth real good, but she still insists on smoking. Now she moved to Atlanta and worked for this pedodontist. I hope this pedodontist gets hold of this and sees it. Now I don't know, they had an influence. They put this graft down here for these the bone structure in that area, and there's from this side, then the other side I see, and you can regulate this bar wherever you want to. You can put it where you want, put a little bit of composite underneath there with just a little tiny bit, and snap it over there, and that wire will stay right where you want it to stay. It's the best retainer made, and she's wearing it, see, and it's staying. That's 92, and there's 88. There's the way this side over here was class. This is the right side. It's class 1, and it's class 1 now. Now this is 97, so this is almost, it's 9 years after we started, and she's brushing the very daylights out of these teeth, but she's got some gingival loss up there. She'd have to have some fillings. I've got a bunch of those myself. You go in and put the composite fillings in there and fill those in. Now there's her anterior when we started, and there it is now. Now she's got the 3 to 3 in here, and so she's not really getting this. She ought to take her some scalers and just go in there, but she's brushing the heck out of them, and she'll have to get some fillings put in there, I guess. All right, there's the Crossbite. That's in 1988, and that's primarily caused by mouth breathing and the tongue staying in the bottom arch, widening the bottom arch out, right like that. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He was wondering why these teeth tend to go out like that. And I tell him that's nothing but a functional problem. And so if you get in there and correct the functional problem. Now if you get function corrected, you're going to also be able to lower the vertical dimension of the face, but don't promise a lot on that, because that's shaky stuff. Here's 88, you see, and we widen this stuff out in here, and there's 97, and you can see that's a poor film, but it's spread out. Now down the lower, 1988, and there it is, 1997, and it's these 3 to 3, still in down there, and everything spread out. And I've got some 06, if you can bear with me here for a little bit. Now there she was when she was back. Now we brought her jaw forward. Now this is 06. This is 88, 98, and to 06. So that's what is that? 16, 17 years later. She's had fillings put in these teeth, I see, and some other teeth worked on in the meantime. So this is several years later, and the teeth look darn good. Now this is the left side. It's class 1, real good over on the left. Now the right side, you see it slipped. The class 3 is coming back some, but it's not going to go much past that. So this cuspid really is supposed to be here. The jaws kind of come forward. Over here on this side, it relapsed slightly, but she's doing real well with it. And she's not going to go back in and put anything else back in there. But there's 16 years or so after we started. We finished in 89, and that's doing good now. I have some pictures that I took at one meeting. She came by, took some pictures a few years ago, but she's come back from Georgia, and they live in the Fort Worth mid-cities area now. If you want to look at her records, I have her records, and I've got all this stuff that we show. We have records on all of it. They're up here at my ranch in our shop. I have a room out there and have these records in it with a table. You can come up and look at any of them. I'm not pulling your leg. The records are still there. I burned a lot of the other records, but the one that I used to teach with, I kept all of those, virtually all of them. Now this is the lower arch in 06, you see. And that's the upper arch in 06. That's the side in 06, 06. Now here is Eva in 06. And she's a good looking woman, you see. And look, that's when she's got her mouth closed. And you remember how her jaw used to be way back here? She looks good. It's not out where you might exactly want it to be. And the vertical height of the face is definitely not as much as it was when we started. So functioning, you can tell she breathes through her nose. She doesn't run around with her mouth open. She can breathe through her nose now. She functions right. She swallows right. And her facial height has lowered. Now that is 06. Now this facial height is not, I'll have to erase that, but now here she was before, a good looking young lady. Even and when she smiled, this didn't show up, but it was still there. Now, to my knowledge, nobody has come out saying that we can lower the vertical dimension of your face by correcting function. But if that's not lowered, I just tell you. But it didn't happen overnight. It took several years. And if you looked her up today in 17, it hadn't increased. It may be even a little bit down. But that made a tremendous difference in her life. And there's a whole stack of things went on in there that we had to do. This is a extremely complicated case. It's got the TMJ problem. It had the widening, the breathing problem, the allergies, the thumb sucking, the tongue thrusting, the increase in the vertical height, the lowering the vertical height, the expansion of the lower jaw by the tongue simply because of mouth breathing. There's a whole stack of things here that I'll bet you if you went through orthodontic school for 3 years, they did not teach you all of these things. You just don't have time in there to do it. Now, I'm not kicking. I've had many good orthodontists that helped me in many ways. In fact, I couldn't have ever got through had it been for some help. See? But we made it. And this is good. And so I'm going to close this out. We've been in here for a long time. So, but you're not going to learn this in any 5 minutes. So you need to study this case. And you can go back. I'm going to show her again in other parts in here. But anyway, I'm going to close out now. And hope that you will spend some time with this. It's not something you can learn in just a few minutes. So I'll say goodbye and hope you have learned something from it, and I have myself. Thank you.